test is it's come across here. Something feels like it's tensing up here, so then we would, but normally stretch.
Well, I would say my TFL and my anything lateral is got to be crazy tight.
So when I stretch the adductors, I pull the femur toward me so that it doesn't hike up, and then I abduct at the same time. There we go. How does that feel versus the first time I tried it?
Much better. I think because you're doing sub-threshold, it's actually allowing you probably to stretch more than it would be if you went.
Try to just bang it.
Yeah. Not even necessarily bang it, but just taking it to as far as it can go. It's not necessarily gonna mean if it's gonna stay that way.
Right. And you may also notice that I'm not just pushing as I go over to the side. There's a traction occurring as well. I'm not sure if that shows up on camera or not.
So you're giving a little spin.
Yes.
And I noticed that you're using a combination of traction and massage and vibration.
Yeah,
So like 3 different things at once, which is really cool.
It really helps the body to relax. When people say, "Oh, I'm timid about this, I'm timid about that," it's just vibration. It just kind of lulls people. And
I call it jiggle therapy.
And I'm lucky because I get that. I know a lot of folk are not so great at vibration, but
Not a lot of what?
a lot of therapists that they don't like to use it.
I think vibration is key.
I think it's great.
I think it's great, but
Because that's what Feldenkrais and Traeger.
It does something to the nervous system that.
I find it mixes me up in a nice way.
you know, when you receive it,
Or we in the Bartending fundamentals we do the heel rock,
Yes.
and I call it, and
It's really nice.
I just find it just shakes things up and gets a flow in things that's different.
So I have a finger here, right? That's gonna keep the heel head in a nice safe position. And then I'm gonna bring the arm across, typical deltoid stretch. But then I'm also tractioning this way. That's where things get interesting. Our pecs are already open, so that helps a lot. Otherwise, if you do this technique too soon, the pecs tend to tighten up in the anterior deltoid, and it doesn't work out so well. They just fill with that. But Apollonia should be feeling a lot of stretch occurring back here.
It feels good in the joint itself
Yes.
to have the space. That feels good.
I think you have very flexible deltoids, which is probably why you're not getting the deltoid stretch. Because this is a pretty extreme position for your average person.
She's not average.
No, she's well above that.
But that's what I was saying when I was on the table, right? Is we get used to the extreme positions for kind of a signal that we're actually doing something, whereas sometimes the sub-threshold is better for us because we will actually allow it to happen. Your body's not so inclined to fight it or protect itself. My name is Emory M. Jr., and this is Exercise and Movement Techniques. And once again, I am privileged to be here in Lesley Powell's Movement Afoot studio with some very special guests today. So I'm going to ask everybody to kind of introduce themselves because my memory is, not what it used to be. I know Apollonia and James and Lesley, but you can talk a little about what you do and who you are, kind of, for the studio audience. So Apollonia.
Why is that there? So I have time to think.
Okay.
I'm Lesley Powell. I'm the director of Movements Afoot. We're primarily a Pilates studio, but originally I'm a dancer, and also I'm trained from the Laban Institute of Movement Studies.
And James?
Hey, I'm James Nicholson. I am the owner of Evolved Fitness, and I do personal training and massage therapy, and I base it on helping people to reconnect to themselves. So the technique is based on helping people to kind of quiet all the chatter in their heads and just focus on what is your body doing, how did it get here, and how to become more efficient.
Wonderful.
I'm Apollonia Holzer. I would say I studied a lot of things, Pilates, Gyrotonic, Shiatsu, cranial sacrum, and so on. And what I'm doing is I'm integrating everything what I learned and see the person what the person needs.
And I'll introduce myself. I'm Emory M Jr. and I'm the founder of EM Technique. Again, I also have studied Pilates and Gyrotonic and martial arts and dance, and I'm integrating them. And I'm not going to give my full list out of it because we'll be here all day.
Yeah.
So, we get together once a month and we talk about things and make things happen. And so I really wanted to get together with all of you on camera and talk about a few things. And, the state of fitness is always something that I'm concerned with. In terms of people's body, the body of the moment, what people want to look like versus what is really good for them. We are all, I believe, wellness practitioners. I try to use that word, and movement educators versus even the word trainer I don't like so much because it really kind of is a very small window on what we do. We've all studied a very long time. I think we have right here on this panel at least probably 100 years of training and experience. And so I think we can go beyond that word trainer and say we're educators and we're wellness practitioners and we live and walk that walk. And so, I'm in the store, I'm buying stuff and I look over and I see a magazine with Pilates and I see a certain body type and I see yoga and I see the same body type and I see a bodybuilding magazine and I see the same body type and I'm like, that's a little strange, don't you think? So do you think there's a one-size-fits-all body thing that's supposed to be healthy?
No. I definitely, and I don't know if we're supposed to do it online, and I apologize.
No.
I think that obviously everybody has different genetics and body types, what have you, but I think that the way that we all work with our clients is to help them to move more efficiently, either through body work or movement education.
Sure.
And as they get more efficient at that, whatever their ideal body is, provided that they, have a good diet and they get enough sleep and, they do all the things that we tell them to do outside of the sessions, then they're going to achieve whatever their ideal body type is, which is not always what you see on a magazine cover. But we've all seen it. You see that person in their 70s, and there's just something about them. You find out that they're 70, you're like, what? I can't believe that. You just look great.
Right.
It doesn't mean that they're rippling with muscles or what have you. They just move well. There's a twinkle in their eyes. They look healthy. They look taken care of.
Right.
And that they take care of themselves. That is the ideal. And that you can't necessarily catch on camera, but that is what we all provide.
So if it's such a foregone conclusion in your mind that there is not one body type that's healthy and that there are these intangibles, then why is it that the other thing is pushed so much and it seems as if a great deal of the public is buying into the beach body look, the six-pack look? I mean, when I was growing up, the women didn't have six-packs and it wasn't a big thing. It didn't seem like the guys chased the girls any less. So what's going on now where this pressure, it seems like, for people to look the same way? It's almost like they're creating a unibody. If you don't look like this, you're not in the club.
Barbie and G.I. Joe.
Well, it's almost an ideal that's impossible.
Well,
And that many people are going to get injured in the long run, and that it has nothing to do with fitness or wellness. What is this ideal body?
So-
It's on, a lot of that is already photoshopped.
Oh yeah.
So
There's that
there's no
aspect,
way
right.
to obtain that.
Right. So knowing that, why do you think that there are so many people who are buying into this? Because I try to give people as much credit as possible, right? We have access to information that we never had in history, right? You can pick up your phone and libraries all over the world that you can access. Why do you think that so much of the public is buying into this, even though it seems to me an absurd premise to begin with, right? Your genetics are different than my genetics and vice versa. No matter what I did, I'm only going to look like me.
I'm not sure. There was one thing coming to me right now. When we look at getting old, is a big problem for people. And that was not so many years ago, getting old is to become wise, you share your experience, and now when you see all these operations, all what come from with that, I think that affects that as well. So people want to look good because they don't want to get old. It's not a question how I want to feel, how I want to look.
I think that's huge.
That is huge.
That's huge.
Yeah.
No, you're right. It was a time when we celebrated our elders.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, when I was a young boy, I used to hang out with the older guys and play chess and checkers, and I listened to the stories. I looked forward to the stories, and I actually even liked to emulate the way they dressed because I thought that the way they dressed was so cool and so dignified. They had like a dignity about them because, after all, they went through all of those things that people go through, and they had overcome them, right? They were still with us, and still functioning, and still happy, and they had wisdom. Wisdom is not celebrated anymore, is it?
No, and you also can see on the faces, like, the experience had carried them through life, That's gone.
Yeah, now people cover it up with Botox and this, that.
I also think there's a whole scary thing about what do these surgeries do to your body?
Oh.
And I only say that because I have had many clients who've had to have these surgeries because of cancer.
I see.
And
That's
one
different.
of my good friends who is a Pilates teacher, she's so articulate. I can't do this because I feel the fascia pulls. So she's feeling this. Can you imagine somebody who's not connected to herself like she is? And I think that what we need to get back to is that, movement is essential for being, and that, a great example is my mother. She works out. She's 90 years old. She swims, she does a little bit of weights, she does a little smooth. She has stenosis, she has her pain, but if you met her, the way she walks, you would not guess she's 90, and that's what we need to get back to.
Yeah, I mean, that's my goal, right? Who wants to, I think about infirmity as being the big thing that you don't want to have, right? I want to still be able to do. If you love life, right, you love doing anything, then that's the crucial thing that I want to preserve more than anything else, right?
Sorry.
Perfect.
Coming back again, I think the question what we should ask was, so how you want to feel. Do you think your triceps or your biceps looks like good? Would you think that gives you the feeling and the experience in life what you want to feel?